The Bastard Movie Archives Hangover with Andy and Max. You never asked for it. Hi, I'm Andy Steinhauer.
I'm Max Weiland.
And this is The Bastard Movie Archives,
The Hangover.
What did we watch today, Max?
We watched the second movie in the Thief in the Night tetralogy, and this one is called Distant Thunder.
I'm still not sure why it's a thief in the night, though. I don't understand why.
Because Jesus says he comes as a thief in the night.
Who?
Jesus. Well, the apocalypse. His second coming will be as a thief.
As a thief in the night?
Yeah, that's a quote.
Okay. But we haven't... Bob Ross is Jesus, right?
Yeah. Jewish Jesus.
Jewish Jesus,
yeah.
Right.
There's a Jewish holy man.
Yeah.
And it's clearly Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
Although he kind of vanished from the second part of that because he was in the containment center with him at the beginning, and then later on he just kind of was gone.
Well, he's been killed before. He doesn't want to do it again right away.
Yeah, it's like, doesn't want to get that stigmata all over again.
Yeah. So, did you beat that game yet? What's it called?
Oh, Undertale.
Undertale.
No,
yeah.
I haven't played at all. I'm trying to finish that and the Talos Principle, but I just haven't had time. So I haven't played any video games. It's been bad. What about you in Fallout?
I've been sick for the past 2-3 days,
yeah,
so I have played a lot of Fallout. I gotta say it's a little, like, the gameplay is great, it's beautiful. I'm a little disappointed with the choices that it presents you with, because I can already tell where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like I could see the branch where you have to pick your side, and now I have to completely murder these other sides, and
there's no, like, third option that you can play with a little bit or try to work something out?
Not really, and you sort of had to do something like that in New Vegas too, but New Vegas made it seem kind of plausible, because in Fallout 4, I totally think you could go and talk to like the Institute and the Brotherhood, and just through like a little talking, just be like, oh, hey, maybe you shouldn't try to murder each other because, we have some of the same goals and it's good.
Sure.
It's just like the plot and the reasons for all the things happening is a little thin, I think. And then, because in the game, they're just like, let's concentrate more on shooting everyone. And so I get it. It just, it bums me a little bit out that that's where they took the Fallout franchise.
Huh. Interesting. So it seems more like narratively streamlined in terms of your choices. Like it's not quite as open or constructed, I guess.
You can decide which faction you're going to ultimately work for, but it's kind of obvious and doesn't feel like a flowy story thing. But you also can't like in New Vegas you could really craft the ending and who you need to kill and who you don't kill a little more towards your gameplay style or whatever.
Okay.
But
apparently you can get away with not killing anyone in the game. Apparently.
In Fallout 4?
Yeah.
Well, not without breaking the game.
Oh! So you actually had to break the game to do it? Okay.
Well, the guy who did it on YouTube, he ended up getting like other creatures to fight other creatures and stuff.
Oh.
He didn't like talk his way out of scenarios and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No matter what you choose, it devolves into combat.
That's kind of...
Yeah,
I mean, I can see that in some cases, but not all.
But it is a really fun game. I'm having a really good time playing it. It's just I wish it were a little more Fallout-y. Yeah,
that's been kind of where Bethesda's been going. That's why I still to this day haven't finished Skyrim.
It does feel a lot like Skyrim. In fact, I think it's the same engine. It looks like the same.
I'm sure it is. It probably would be. But I just, in terms of the way they construct stories, it feels a lot more like Skyrim and less like, say, Morrowind or something like that. Because Morrowind's my favorite in that whole series. I still love Morrowind.
Morrowind feels like D&D.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
Right.
But yeah, that's yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really want to play The Witcher 3 because apparently that's more nuanced in terms of crafting character and story. And supposedly you don't have to play the first two. You can just play the third one.
Everybody says that The Witcher 3 is the bee's knees.
That's what I've been hearing. So, and it's like apparently it takes straight out of like old noir stories. Like it's very detective oriented, which is cool.
Yeah.
That and then of course Metal Gear Solid 5, which is what I need to play.
I never could really, after the first Metal Gear Solid, I never really found another one that I could get back into.
Oh, Snake Eater's so good.
Never played it.
When all the people that you kill show back up on the river and make you feel guilt and terrible. It's so good. Kojima's a fucking boss. It's so good. I mean, he's the only person who can do like tactical espionage things with like fucking vampires and all this weird shit. It's so good. It's bad shit crazy. If you follow his Twitter account, he posts pictures of his underwear all the time. He's a weird guy.
What? Okay.
Because he has weird underwear.
Why?
Because he just wants to do that. He's a weird dude.
Because he just you speak so casually of this. Like,
I live in a dark place, Andy. The world I reside in is a very strange world.
Well, there's lots of cats in your world.
This is where I come down off the mountain. I'm like, here's what's, or I should say, out of the cave, out of the darkness that I've put myself in.
Into my apartment in front of my microphone.
Yes,
that's the deal.
And then I talk to you as if these things are normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go into our Christploitation movie.
Yeah, part two.
Part two. They get off really strong off the bat.
Yeah, it like picks up. I mean, they change out the main actress, but it is like she wakes up and it's a dream and it's happening again, but it like continues that storyline.
Well, they do that thing where right away it's just like text and narration, just really hard.
Yeah, real hard, and a lot of quotes, a lot of Bible quotes. This one gets way more over the head. This one's like more on the nose, and you can start seeing where like it's slowly growing into what we now know as propaganda films.
There's an agenda, and they are executing the agenda.
Yes, and they're becoming more direct and less subtle about the way they execute the agenda.
Though I do have to really admire the fact that they the way they executed the agenda, it feels really plotted out. Like the writers of this really spent time.
Yeah, they learned how to structure a story, kind of.
Well, the very end when it's the point is this would have been so much easier on you if you just would have accepted Jesus earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They really like that when that moment comes on. I feel like the people who wrote that and the people they pitched it to were just like, bam, that's our big moment.
Yes. Yeah. That's the moment of theme and character and story that sells it. They just don't realize how like in your face it is.
That's the narrative zenith. That's like when Luke finds out that Vader's his father. That's what that moment is.
It's the moment that contextualizes the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely got that sort of feel to it, I guess.
It's just the fact that it's propaganda that if you don't already believe in, it kind of hits.
It's lost on you.
Yeah.
It's like most of these propaganda films, it's definitely lost on you. But it continues its tradition of like a story completely structured by flashback. Yeah. This one even more so, interestingly enough, than the first one, because the first one, the second half of it's in the present, and she's on the run and stealing things. This one, like, dances back and forth, where it starts off very flashback within flashbacks, like multiple levels of flashbacks, to the present, to, like, mid-flashback. I'd actually have to go back and re-watch it to figure out what was and wasn't. I mean, it's bookended, so it is a flashback. It is the whole film is essentially one flashback, but it's sprinkled
where we go further back. Yeah, we check in with the present often. Yeah, so there's this big looming thing where you think they're going to take them out back and kill them.
Yeah, it's just not structured like say Hero or something where it's very clear what's being a flashback or
which is a good structure. I think, because if you have this structure, it's just that when you flash back, that has to be interesting. It has to be good when you flash back.
Yeah, but the flashbacks, of course, are the same things that we see in these movies, which is Christian safe spaces. So
right.
It's
often
people sitting around talking about Jesus.
Some of the flashbacks are plot relevant, and some just aren't. Some are plot relevant, and it's fine, and they're dealing with the apocalypse and food a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
And other times they're flashing back, and it's just sermon time.
Yeah. So I guess the premise is that her and her friends that are pseudo religious but not really religious go on the run. Well, not on the run. They leave their house and go live somewhere else. Like
for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they leave.
Is that her grandma's house that she goes to?
Yeah, but I don't know what the farm, because they go to the farm where the barn burns down. I'm not sure why. But the big thing is like the world. It's like a very casual apocalypse because things are slowing down. Like people still have their jobs, but people are running out of gas, or they can't get gas because people without the mark can't buy gas anymore, or something like that. Where people with the mark are sort of taking over the resources, which is actually a really interesting world. to like slowly show a world breaking down into the haves and the have-nots, and how you take privileged classes and separate people. It's definitely like environmental disaster / long form apocalyptic societies closing off and breaking down. So it like glosses over some very interesting things that could be explored in an apocalypse scenario. But what's strange about it is then they come across Jewish Jesus.
Right, they're in a field.
Well, it's holy Jewish man, and we can assume a holy Jewish man is Jesus.
Who looks exactly like Bob Ross.
Yes, who does look exactly like Bob Ross.
And because he's Jesus, and he's walking through these fields that he did paint. Because he's Jesus. Created them with his daddy.
Yeah.
And so he's walking through this adorable little bush.
Is that the equivalent of like God and like a dad and a son building a bike? Is like, here, we're building a world. I mean, we're building a world with no sin. Oh, we spilled sin in there.
That's the thing with the Holy Trinity is it's hard to wrap your brain around, because on one point they're supposed to be separate but the same at the same time.
Yeah. And
so everybody's got a different idea.
The one is 3 and the 3 are 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easier
That's what we
just
call
to say that and leave it at that. Yeah. But so Jesus is walking through the adorable Bob Ross. I really just want to believe that Bob Ross was the second coming, and he shared.
That would be amazing.
He shared his
that's
glory.
That's what heaven is painting pictures with Bob Ross.
It's just Bob Ross calming you as he creates other realities.
I'd take that. That would be a good conversion tactic for me. I'd be like, okay, I can get on board with that.
And we're gonna get a little lavender green, and gonna put it over here, and you're like, oh Bob, I think maybe a nice happy rock. And then Bob goes, oh Andy, that a happy rock would be so wonderful there. Let's put that happy rock over there. And then you have helped Jesus
make a painting,
make a creation painting, because his paintings would.
If you were religious, the sense of satisfaction and happiness you would have out of that would be ridiculous.
Especially since in religious tradition, the reason humans are so creative is because that's the divine. So, being in heaven and helping Bob Ross Jesus paint new realities
sounds pretty dope.
Yep,
I can get on board with that. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
So okay. Bob Rossi's.
So we'll stop redefining heaven, but
we're gonna redefine, recontextualize this entire film all about Bob Ross Jesus.
There's a dog. There's a German Shepherd, like an obviously coached German Shepherd who's happy to be barking.
My favorite thing is it's like bark, 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 and it's all angry, and everyone's like, and then he's like, oh. I'm good. Okay, never mind. I'm going to go this way.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, okay.
Once he stops barking, the dog has that look that dogs get when they've just done you proud.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm a dog.
Yeah. It's kind of like the equivalent of like two people sitting there and he's like, hey, hey. And then people are like, what? And he goes, okay, cool. Like, that's it. That's like literally what happened. And then, that's when holy Jewish man shows up.
Yeah,
and
then holy Jewish man gives a little sermon.
Can we talk about the girl, the evil demon girl, and the relationship with the horse, where she's like, doesn't look evil to me, or angry, or whatever.
I feel like the evil demon girl read the script and then took the note that she's the bad guy and threaded it throughout the entire thing, but like in a really overhanded.
It was like watching the latter half of The Exorcist without the makeup. She was creepy.
She was creepy.
She would just stare. She was just like, I'm with the devil. And you're like, what?
It was always like, come join us.
Yeah, right. It was super weird.
Come play with us.
Yeah.
The blood usually gets off on the 5th floor.
It definitely tried to live up to the first one in terms of going dark at the end of it. Sure. So they go behind the door, where everyone's like, because it's contextualized about them being in this church, which is essentially turned into a get the mark of the beast or be executed place. So they all, of course, decide to be executed, and they get taken outside. And there's a guillotine there. So it definitely goes, and her friend gets executed, and it like kind of cuts and is very like dramatic. Bah.
We think her friend is executed.
Yeah. You heard the sound effect of it.
Yeah, but it all cuts away, and I mean it's open season.
It wasn't as hard as the original one had that like real. Although it was fucked up that the other friends made her watch Clockwork Orange style, like grabbed her head and made her watch.
Don't look away.
Yeah, do not look away, even though she's gonna die. Like she's supposedly the next one that's gonna be on. I mean, we'll find out in the next one if she does or doesn't.
The other scary thing is that executions are hard. It's hard to kill a person in a clean, quick way. That guillotine is probably it's probably some garage built bullshit.
It probably was one of those things. The reason they probably cut away is what happened was it like went through the back part of the neck but didn't quite sever the spinal cord. So it cut. So the esophagus, like, she can still breathe.
Yeah.
She just is spewing blood and like is like halfway decapitated,
and they're just making eye contact.
She's like screaming and passing out, like looking at them, and her eyes are like rolling in her head, and they're just like have to show up and kind of take like a hammer and beat it down to like finish, like, and then it's like getting caught and won't go through the spine, so it's like cutting into the throat. So now she's like choking on her own blood. It's not working quite so well.
I thought it was a bummer because I didn't need to see somebody get their head chopped off to get the point. I get that.
We wanted to see a reaction to it.
Yeah,
and see like the horror on her face.
Yeah, you need to give us something rather than just cutting away and being like, well, no, I don't know.
Yeah, because the first movie, it like lingers for a long time.
She screams.
The fucking nightmare she's living.
Yeah. And the second, it was just a real bummer because they were setting up this thing that we can all get behind as human beings of like. An execution that's scary, and then to watch your friends, and then it's eventually your turn.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
Yeah, but this one also still could exist within the hypothetical world we've been talking about, with it being within worlds and her living. Sure. So maybe she does get executed in the next one,
and then she wakes up
and goes through. But this is like a different life choice. So she made a different life choice in the second one, and it leads to her getting her head cut off.
Yeah.
So it's either suicide or death.
Can we talk about how whiny our protagonist was?
Yes. So they replaced the actress.
Yeah.
With a new one, and she is real bad.
It's
she whines about everything.
Pretty much all the characters in this are very one note because I feel like they aren't really professional actors.
No,
and so they all just they read the script and decided what note their character had to hit and hit that one note throughout the script. But hers is whine, and it's just so bad.
I don't wanna. This is bad. Where's my friends?
You could replace all of her lines with just like me going and that's
her inflection was really bad. Yeah.
It just
And
no
then
choices.
They had the same guy with the mutton chops and the mustache and the same girl. And they just made them even more intense versions of themselves.
Were they the same people? I know they made I know they could have found people who looked a lot like them.
No, those are the same.
They're
the
same
actors.
people.
Yeah,
okay,
the same two actors.
They were not near as bad as some of the other actors.
I think they're friends to production.
It was just watching them. I wanted them to end up being the good guys because you thought they were going to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
But they betrayed her again.
Yep. Although I'm pretty sure I saw a "What would Jesus do" thing around on some of those close-ups. He had like a little thing around his wrist that looked like a little like "I live for Christ" thing, which was pretty funny. So,
I would like to. The reason also I don't think this movie went dark enough is because shit like that actually did happen in Cultural Revolution China, where there are accounts of them taking people out of a church and saying "spit on this Bible or we'll shoot you," and then they shot them.
Right. Well, that happens to any. I mean, they would take Buddhist monks and out murder.
Sure.
Anything that threatened the authority of the state.
It's
same
just
thing as the Russians.
When you're spinning fiction,
yes.
And want to make it horrific, and then it doesn't approach anywhere near reality that is fairly common knowledge, you failed.
Yeah. I think so. I just wanted to be more. It wasn't as like horrific in the exploitative like sort of, because I like when they go that, because usually with Christian, particularly Christploitation movies, they don't tend to go real hard because it's all. It's Jesus. We have to keep everything light and happy. But the thing about the first movie is it went real dark. It went, like, the implications of that were real bad.
Yeah.
And so that, that's rare, and that's exploiting your faith in Christ to scare the fuck out of you. Like, do some fucked up shit and exploiting that, and that's what I want to see.
I would like to see where they actually put her friend on the guillotine and her reaction to that. And she's having all this moment on the guillotine where maybe she's praying and tears are streaming down, and then she has a moment right before they kill her, and then they cut away from the actual decapitation because we don't need to see that, and then they show the friend like living in that moment, and then they end it before we figure out if she dies or not.
You know how I would have structured the last shot of that movie is them holding her, forcing her to watch it. And holding in that moment, after you hear the guillotine going down and a slow jib down on a long lens, and out of focus in the foreground, you would see the slight shudder of her leg or her hand.
Okay. I just don't know if we know that she was decapitated or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's, it's implied. They weren't going to show because, one, they didn't have the FX budget to show it.
Sure. I just, like, that's the thing. I don't know if that's what happened. If that was my script and that did happen, then sure, we could end it like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're trying to keep it open for the sequel or something.
Like, keep her, like, bring her back or something like that?
Yeah, like...
I just want this... If this is about the tribulation, I don't think anyone should be saved. Like, that's kind of the point, right?
No. The tribulation, you can still be saved after people are raptured.
No. I don't mean saved by, like... I don't mean, like, literally saved by Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, people don't... It's not like she gets up there and someone, Jesus shows up with a shotgun and is like...
Oh, yeah, she gets killed and gets to go to heaven.
Yeah, like,
Straight
I'm
up.
thinking more like, no, people just die. I'm thinking that this is supposed to be the Holocaust for Christians, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so no one gets saved. People die. Girl in red dress, man. Schindler's List. Girl in red dress.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so she dies.
That's that. I mean, that's my theory. We'll see. We still have the next one.
Yeah,
and the one after that.
It's just a real bummer that
they didn't go that far.
They didn't go there.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think it should have gone much farther.
Because we sure sat through a lot of sermons.
Yeah, this one it's a little bit more like big and preachy.
They did that in the other one too. It just didn't seem.
Well, the other one was shorter too. The other one was only an hour long. This one was an hour 16.
Yeah,
they get like progressively longer. The next one's an hour and a half. It is an average length film, and then the one after that's 2 hours.
Woo!
So we'll be doing whiskey for that one.
Yeah, we decided that when we weren't recording.
Yeah,
that, the last 2 hour movie we'd get a little fucked up for.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think
after
it's
going
fair.
through all four of these. What else? What else do we have on?
I don't know. There's just not as much to talk about with this one because
it wasn't as hard and gnarly as the first one.
It was poorly acted. It was structured and written very well for what they wanted.
They learned
what
things.
they thought. Yeah,
as a film. As filmmakers, they learn things.
It's if you were doing like line to line punch up of it, you could have made it a lot better. Yeah. But it might not have hit their points that they wanted to hit as hard. So I think they did a very good job at what they were trying to do.
The production design increased a little bit. The van's a little bit different. They updated. Now it's dots and lines that spell unite. Or unity.
Well, there's that little grid up top. It's like a 4x4 grid or something.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
That. They kind of changed up the mark of the beast a little bit. It's like fractals. That's why I said it's like fractals.
Sure.
It just reflects differently in each other horrific reality she has to live in.
I guess I am still not buying the A to B of take this mark or die.
I think it was supposed to we're supposed to be a few years into the tribulation because
at least like 6 years.
I think they said it had been going on for 6 years. So there's been 6 years worth of like slow evilness.
I just would like to see scenes that are telling of how we got there where
there needs to be a justifiable reason, like, oh, these people are dangerous if they don't take the mark. It's
exactly.
like a sign of it's if not they're it's like Trumpified
because what makes a villain scary is sympathy for the devil. We have to identify with why they think these people should die.
Do they want to risk that for narrative structure to risk people identifying with the devil, or do they just want it to be evil for evil's sake?
Well, if you can't identify with the devil at all, then you're just straight up not human, or you're a dirty liar.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the point. The devil is supposed to be so tempting, and so like that's the problem with a lot of Christploitation movies. Like the devil is supposed to
be tempting.
It's not just tempting. The devil is supposed to represent like he cares, and he was cast out of heaven because he went against God's orders because he cared.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. But so that's why you need to have that sympathy element there, and that's why when you watch a really good villain, a really good villain is one where like you kind of get it.
Yeah.
Or you could see yourself doing that in an alternate universe.
Yeah, of course. So that's but that doesn't work for the propaganda angle so much.
I think it does still. I think it really could.
Because, well, I mean, from their point of view,
you don't make it like, because he's the bad guy. And a really good villain still goes way too far. And when you think about it, you're still like, oh yeah, he fucking kills people. Or, oh yeah, Walter White is still making meth.
So like the Samuel L. Jackson character from The Kingsman?
Yeah.
You can kind of sympathize with him a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he's cartoony, but yeah. And then, so, you that's what makes a good villain. So I think that's why a lot of Christian propaganda films straight up don't work, because it's so obvious.
Yeah.
And why both of these movies are kind of neat is that it almost gets to that level of like Unity, get this mark kind of thing, and
the guys are trying to help their friends by getting them to like join with them, but the problem is at the end they go full evil because they're like forcing her to watch her friend die. Yeah, they get like uber cruel for no reason.
Yeah. They go too far with like making them evil when it should be this like sad thing that you have to really think about before you really understand it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's
that movie.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I can't really. That's that one. I mean, we'll keep going down this crazy train. I know they get more and more ridiculous as we go. So.
Yeah. And these are the ones where we can say anything, Max, because nobody's going to watch these.
Yeah, no one does watch these ones.
Yeah,
which is nice.
I think it's because it's subject matter that makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's right. Because Last Ounce of Courage did not. Nobody watched that one.
Because, like, if you're Christian, we probably make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you're not a Christian, then the movie probably makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, the content of it. Christploitation's a genre. It should be a genre that is. This is what we do, Andy. We bring movies out of the darkness.
That's right.
We bring movies out of the darkness so the world can see, and Christploitation deserves equal rep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if something makes you uncomfortable, then you should probably explore that subject and why it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. That's why I live in a dark cage and watch things. That's why nothing makes me uncomfortable.
Got to come to terms with your demons.
You have. The only way out is through.
Right. That's why I have been to a slaughterhouse and I still eat meat.
Get that, folks? That's why.
They did tours at the J&B plant in Greeley.
Oh, really?
And I was having a little bit of a crisis in my brain of like
meat.
Of meat, because meat is like my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
But how just that crisis of like things are dying so I can eat, and so I went.
I come from a family of hunters.
So you went through that, yeah.
So I prefer hunt meat because usually you pop them right in the heart and they die pretty quick.
Also,
they don't.
It's way more delicious.
It's better for you too.
I miss it.
It's good meat.
I miss it so much.
Yeah, it's So that's kind of usually, and in the way they, at least at the humane ones I've been to, it doesn't seem that bad the way they kill the meat. I think it's
fucked up in Orwellian kind of.
Right. Well, it is because we feed them, make them fat, or the way just the systemic structure of taking a living being, raising it for slaughter,
and you can't help but like put your brain in that place of like how terrifying that would be if you were sentient and understood what was going on.
Right. But farm animals tend to live. Even animals for slaughter, tend to live a lot longer in captivity than they do in the wild.
Well, also, there's no such thing as a wild cow.
Yeah, not anymore.
Or bovine, I should say.
Yeah,
it just doesn't exist. The animal that is the cow is not wild.
Yeah.
So
they're immensely docile. They need to be taken. They have to be, and they're very dumb.
Sure, if there's just no place for them in the wild. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, you hear that, you goddamn vegetarians. We're like going on this weird meat rant for no reason.
I don't know. Let's end on that. Nobody's going to get this far anyways.
That's true.
All thanks a lot for listening if you're still listening.
If you're still here.
And, if you have any feedback or want us to cover a film or answer some questions.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. If anyone has any movie recommendations.
Comment. Do your stuff. Max is just going to play with his microphone, and we are going to sign off. So I'm Andy Steinhauer.
I'm Max.
Goodbye.